if you were not regularly exposed to the material, then you could quite easily confuse the hemp with marijuana.
CBD that comes from hemp is in high demand in East Tennessee. That means hemp production is skyrocketing across the state. A booming hemp industry means police need to be more attentive than ever when it comes to identifying two plants that are cousins, marijuana and hemp.
10 News anchor Brandon Bates joining us now with more on how local and state law enforcement agencies are trying to adapt. Brandon.
Well, Robin and John, hemp and marijuana look almost identical to the untrained eye. The big difference is the THC percentage. Hemp has barely any and it won't get you high, but marijuana will. Tonight we look at how law enforcement differentiates between these two. As of February 20th, the Tennessee Agriculture Department received more than 2,000 license applications to grow hemp. That's up from 200 to 300 last year. The reason? Well, the Farm Bill signed into law last year by the president makes it legal across the country, so demand is way up.
And it is very difficult to distinguish between the two.
Knoxville's chief of police says the booming industry makes officers' jobs more difficult.
They look the same, they feel the same. People smoke them.
Ben Court is the author of the book Weed Inc. and is against legalizing marijuana. He also agrees that more hemp means more obstacles for law enforcement.
The problem that you have with hemp is it makes a nightmare for law enforcement because it's very difficult to separate out, especially when they're looking into something or looking down on something.
And the complications aren't just at the city level. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says they don't even have the resources for testing. In a statement, they say TBI does not currently have the capability to quantitatively determine the THC level in plant material and therefore does not have the capability to differentiate between hemp and marijuana, but we're working on it.
This is the hemp sample. This is marijuana.
And as to why the TBI doesn't have resources to test THC levels, a spokesperson tells me that when hemp was legalized, they were provided no extra funding. But there is good news for the TBI. They have now secured funding to purchase one instrument to perform this testing and hope to begin that testing soon. And we talked to a hemp farmer in Sweetwater who provided his employees with documentation that they worked on that farm. That way, if they were stopped by police and smelled like marijuana, they wouldn't go to jail because marijuana and hemp have a similar odor. Robin and John.
Brandon, interesting to see how this develops today. The Tennessee